The woods were silent, except for the faint rustle of leaves. A boy crouched in the underbrush, clutching a gnawed bone. His once proud silver hair was matted, his crimson eyes darting nervously. Cast out from the demon realm for his human blood and shunned by humans, he belonged nowhere. Hunger gnawed at him, but he dared not move. Months had passed since his exile, surviving on scraps, scorned by demons and humans alike. It was a harsh, lonely existence, better than dying in someone else's shadow. Or so he thought, until the day someone found him. "Stay still," a firm yet calm voice commanded. The boy froze, turning slowly to see a tall man in armor, a sword at his side. His face was severe, but his bright green eyes held no malice. "Who are you?" the boy growled, baring sharp teeth. "What do you want?" The man stepped closer, and the boy skittered back, powerless without his demon strength. "Easy," the man said, raising his hands. "I'm not here to hurt you." "You're lying," the boy snapped. "Humans always lie." The man almost smiled. "Maybe some do, but not me." "Then leave me alone." The man crouched to his level. "I can't. This forest isn't safe for a child." "I'm not a child," the boy retorted, his trembling voice betraying him. "I'm a demon." The man tilted his head, studying him. "A demon? You're the smallest one I've ever seen. What's your name?" The boy hesitated. "I don't have one." "Then let me give you one. Mordec," the man said with a faint smile. "I'm Shen Xu, a general of the Eastern Kingdom. Come with me." The boy hesitated, but no one had ever offered him a name before. Ignoring his instincts to flee, he took the man's hand. Life with Shen Xu was strange. The general brought Mordec to a camp filled with soldiers, but none of them treated the boy with hostility. If anything, they seemed confused. Whispers followed him wherever he went. Why would the general bring a demon child here? Is he training a pet? What if the boy turns on us? Mordec didn't care about their words. He'd grown used to suspicion and fear. What baffled him was Shen Xu himself. "Eat," Shen Xu said one evening, placing a steaming bowl of stew in front of Mordec. They were seated by a fire, the camp bustling with activity around them. Mordec eyed the bowl warily. "Why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" "Feeding me. Helping me." Mordec's voice rose, frustration bubbling to the surface. "You don't even know me. I could be dangerous." Shen Xu leaned back, his green eyes thoughtful. "Maybe, but I've seen plenty of danger in my life. You're not it." Mordec clenched his fists. "You're a fool." "Maybe," Shen Xu said with a shrug. "But I've learned that even the fiercest beasts can become loyal if shown kindness." "I'm not a beast." "No," Shen Xu agreed, his voice softening. "You're a boy. One who's been through too much." The words struck something deep within Mordec. He wanted to argue, to deny it, but his throat tightened and he couldn't speak. Instead, he grabbed the bowl and began to eat, tears stinging his eyes. Over time, Mordec came to trust Shen Xu, though he'd never admit it aloud. The general trained him, teaching him to fight with swords and fists, to strategize and think like a warrior. Mordec's demon strength returned slowly, tempered by Shen Xu's guidance. For the first time, he felt like he had a purpose. But it was more than that. Shen Xu wasn't just a teacher or a guardian. He was something else. Mordec didn't have a word for it, but he felt it in the way Shen Xu ruffled his hair after a sparring match, or how he stood between Mordec and the soldiers who doubted him. The day Shen Xu left for war was the first time Mordec felt true fear. "Can't you stay?" Mordec said, his voice sharp with accusation. He stood in the doorway of Shen Xu's tent, watching as the general strapped on his armor. Shen Xu paused, his expression unreadable. "I must go, Mordec. The kingdom needs me." "I need you," Mordec snapped, his crimson eyes blazing. "Why can't they send someone else?" Shen Xu stepped closer, placing a hand on Mordec's shoulder. "You're strong now, stronger than when we first met. You'll be fine." "That's not the point." Mordec shoved his hand away, his voice breaking. "You're all I have." Shen Xu's green eyes softened, and for a moment Mordec thought he might stay. But then he smiled, a sad, bittersweet smile, and said, "Wait for me. I'll come back. Promise." He didn't. When the news of Shen Xu's death reached the camp, Mordec felt his world shatter. Grief gave way to fury, and fury to something darker. "You lied to me," Mordec whispered to the night, his voice trembling. "You promised." The power that had lain dormant within him for years stirred. It began as a flicker, a warmth in his chest that quickly turned into a burning fire. Crimson light bled from his eyes as his demonic heritage surged to the surface. "I'll destroy them," Mordec growled, his voice distorted and otherworldly. "The ones who took you from me. All of them." The forest trembled as his demonic energy erupted, his crimson eyes glowing like fire. He would destroy them all. The humans, the soldiers, anyone who responsible for Shen Xu's death. His rampage spread through the forest, cutting a path of destruction as his power spiraled out of control. Villages in the distance trembled as the ground quaked beneath them. The heavens took notice. A blinding light tore through the darkened sky as celestial warriors descended, their golden armor blazing. Encircling Mordec, their voices echoed with divine authority. "Your grief has corrupted you. You threaten the balance of the realms. Leave me alone!" Mordec roared, his voice shaking the heavens. "You didn't protect him. You let him die." This was no ordinary demon child. Mordec's raw, untamed power was undeniable. A warrior stepped forward, raising a radiant spear. "Your soul is too dangerous. You cannot remain." The spear struck, and golden chains erupted, binding Mordec. He struggled, roaring in fury, but the chains tightened, searing him with celestial energy. As the warriors chanted, Mordec's essence shattered, fragments of his soul scattered across the realms. His body dissolved, leaving a void and an eerie silence. Centuries passed, but the remnants of Mordec's power endured, whispering through the corners of existence. Slowly, piece by piece, he clawed his way back. When Mordec returned, he was no longer the fragile boy. Now, towering and commanding, his unholy presence struck fear into even the fiercest demons. Reclaiming the shards of his soul, he grew in strength, bending the underworld to his will. The demons who once mocked him now knelt, and Mordec ascended the throne as Demon Lord, ruling with vengeance burning in his heart. Meanwhile, the reincarnated Shen Xu lived as a slave in the Emperor's palace, his bright green eyes dulled by years of lonely. His only solace was Shen Wei, his scarred but kind master, once a noble, now broken by the Emperor's cruelty. Their bond deepened, drawing the Emperor's jealousy. Shen Xu was sent to the soldier camp, leaving Shen Wei trapped in the Emperor's grasp. Determined to rescue Shen Wei, Shen Xu vowed to rise through the ranks. But Shen Wei, unable to endure the torment, took his own life. Maddened by grief, the Emperor sought forbidden magic and used a fragment of Mordec's soul to strike a deal with the Demon Lord for Shen Wei's resurrection. Mordec, intrigued by the intertwined fates, manipulated the process to his advantage. After rebirth, Shen Xu encountered Shen Wei by chance. Overcome, he brought Shen Wei home, cherishing their reunion while vowing to avenge him. His actions, however, disrupted the fate Mordec had crafted for the Emperor. Investigating this disturbance, Mordec discovered Shen Xu's reincarnated soul. One night, Shen Xu secretly enters the palace, plotting Emperor's assassination. When he roamed around the palace in shadows, Mordec appeared, confronting him. "Who are you?" Shen Xu demanded, drawing his sword. "You don't remember?" Mordec said, stepping closer. With a talisman, he disarmed Shen Xu. "You know me," Mordec continued, his voice soft but intense. "How could you forget the one you betrayed?" Shen Xu shook his head, as unfamiliar memories of being a great general and meeting a red-eyed boy flashed through his mind. These weren't memories he recognized as his own. In those fragments, he saw himself finding a lost boy and protecting him. He promised to return after leaving for war, but never did. The images spun in his mind, leaving him dizzy and weak, as if he were reliving them. "You," he gasped, struggling to stay upright. Mordec smiled, tilting his head. "What about me?" "Stop putting things in my head." These weren't his memories. He had never been a general or met this man in his life. His vision blurred, and he coughed up blood, feeling like he was being stabbed repeatedly. The pain was maddening. His jade eyes flickered between reality and the memories forced upon him. Seeing him struggle, Mordec stopped, easing the memories to avoid breaking the human's mind. Though he hadn't meant to harm Shen Xu, even a fragment of these memories was too much for him. As soon as the torment ended, Shen Xu collapsed. Mordec caught him effortlessly, carrying him to a nearby room. He laid him on the bed, securing him and checking his breathing. Mordec's gaze softened as he looked at Shen Xu's face. still as beautiful and fierce as ever. Lifetimes had passed, but no one else could stir the same longing in him. Shen Xu was his only weakness. "I finally found you," Mordec whispered, his voice filled with emotion. He pressed his forehead against Shen Xu's gently. Then, with determination, he carried the unconscious man to his underworld palace, vowing never to let him go again.